It's that time again. It's the Berkey and the Badger Board Game Babble Show. It's going to get wild. It's going to get wacky. It might even get a little zany. We're going to talk about board games and the board game industry. And, you know, we might talk about anything else we want to talk about. Hey! It's the Berkey and the Badger. Welcome, Babbleites, to the wonderful kingdom of Babblot. Yes, where you're invited to this wonderful, elegant podcast. Yes, streaming live on YouTube directly from Babblot. Yes. Please welcome the most enjoyable court jester in the land, in the kingdom, the Badger.
Well, thank you, sire. May I say, you must have cleaned your courtroom today because your throne looks jolly. And
yes,
you know that.
Yes, I did know that. Yes, I do.
Okay, then I'll do the record scratch and skip straight to it. Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 111. To cull
111, 111 years ago amongst you fine hobbits.
Mm-hmm. And I like half of you as much as I like half of me, and half of me I don't even like half as much as
you deserve.
Yeah.
And I feel like too much butter scraped over bread.
Yeah. Well, that's normal. You've got very proud feet.
Proud foot. Yeah, we're back to our normal nonsense.
Yeah, that's what it's called. The Babble.
It's Babble. Babble.
What we're going to be babbling about, we're going to have a quick babble in a sec about what's been happening in Babblot since the last time we saw you. We're going to go afterwards straight into things that make the king go before talking about a few games that we've been playing recently. And then we're going to finish off with our Babble subject about game collection management and culling.
Well, tell us a little bit about what's been going on in your neck of the kingdom, would you?
Yes, I will. Yeah, exactly. It's been busy here. Yes, the harvesting season has just finished. Last week I came in from the very hot weather that was permeating all over France. Well, the southern part of Babblot. Yes. From collecting grapes, and I am shattered and achy as plums as an unfit person that sits in this chair every day.
Yeah.
works from here. So it's nice to start to have that kind of relief, and it's done. It's in the can. My body can heal, ready for next week when I'm going to the Essen Spiel Fair.
Yes.
To work there for a week, and not promote, but teach people how to play games so they can get a flavor before they decide they want to buy a game, which I think is a great way to acquire games for your collection, so to speak. To play it first, and then on that play, you'll know if it's a game for you or not, or if it's a game that you definitely want, or a game that your friend can buy for you because they liked it better than you did, and so you can pop around their house and play it, kind of thing. So yeah, so I am going to be busy. So I don't know when this podcast is going to be edited, because when I come back, it's back to work again, and then I'm going to squeeze editing this podcast in along with some other things. So yes, it's been a busy little period. There's been like a big bout of nothing, and all of a sudden everything comes at once.
How long was the harvest? How many weeks?
Well, for some people, it's been 2 weeks. For me, it was only one. A normal harvest is around about 10 days. So that 14, 15 days. And this week, it's just turned really crappy. It is pissing down with rain. We got flood warnings. And so imagine you're outside from 7 till 4 or 5 in nature, in muddy tracks, covered in mud, and you're trying to find the grapes in a grapevine, and you're cutting them and putting them in the bucket. And
So was the harvest good? Was it good produce yield this year?
Surprisingly so, yes. Due to the fact that this summer was extremely wet. There was lots of heavy downpours during the summer, so it didn't get up to as hot temperatures as normal. So there were valleys where like one side was ripe and ready for picking, and the other side wasn't, and so you had to wait 2 to 5 days for that side to become ripe and reach the standard. So it was like, oh Christ! So my vendange was drawn out a little bit because we had like a day off for doing nothing, and then we went back to get this last little sector, which is slowly developing and maturing. But yeah, some people have 2 weeks of.
Yeah, that's awesome. Our garden here in Minnesota this year, we've had ample amount of rain. We've hardly had to water the lawn. I have a huge lawn that I generally do not water, but my front lawn area, if it gets too dry, I'll water a little bit. With the exception of watering a few plants in the garden, our produce is the best it's ever been this year. It's just been remarkable. Joan, my wife, has canned, I don't know, 80 quarts of salsa and beans and beets and pickles. We got pickles coming out our ears and ratatouille and spaghetti sauce, and man, it's just been fantastic.
Yeah, we've had ups and downs with the garden. It's been a tremendous year for tomatoes, but not so good for salads. Great year for pears, but not a great year for cherries. So it's really strange.
Yeah, we planted a couple cherry trees and a couple new apple trees this year too. So we're kind of excited to see what they'll yield in the future. I've been, like you, been getting ready for Essen. You know, there's the biggest show in the world, right? You know, it's everybody's excited, and I'm leaving next Monday, and then I arrive on Tuesday, and then Raymond from Board Game is actually picking me and Scott Walton up from Amsterdam, or from Dusseldorf, excuse me.
Dusseldorf.
Then we go over to the show that Wednesday morning, set up the booth, and get ready to hammer it out. So super excited about that. But the preparation for that is like so much stuff to think about and do. And in the middle of all that, this spring, we had a big hailstorm that came through, and we had to put new roofs on all of our. See, I knew you were going to laugh.
Yeah,
roofs on our house, my garden garage, and then I have another big shed on the bottom side of our property. And so anyway, that had to all be done. But I have been dreaming for about 10 years about building an outdoor kitchen. So I've had it in my mind and all this stuff. And basically, it's just making a 12 by 28 pergola on the outside of my lower deck. So just putting a roof on it. And but we were doing the shingling and all that kind of stuff, it made sense to just finally get her done. So I hired that work done with the people that were doing the roofing. But now I've been out there tinkering with my smokers and grills and trying to get it all set up. So in the winter in Minnesota, it's freezing here, of course. Yeah. I tarp that all in so that I can actually cook all winter long. And now I've got this super cool area. So stay tuned on our next Berkey and Badger Full-Blown podcast after Essen. I'll share some pictures with Barry about the outdoor kitchen and let you in on the shenanigans. But it's like everything's hitting all at once. So we're super crazy busy, but super excited to be at Essen. It's going to be a good time.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
And it'll always be good to see you again, my friend. I'm sure we'll be able to go out after the show and have some supper and some libations.
There's always time for libations.
So with that, why don't we move on to our next segment? What's been the things that make the king go,
This is the Board Game News, where King Berkey reflects on some of the current things happening in the board game industry. Some may be good, some may be bad, but they're all things that made our king go,
Mm-hmm.
Still bopping around. Hey, so the things that have been making me go, and there's a lot of different board game news that's out there. There's a lot of different things that we could talk about. But things that catch my interest, I read regularly the ICV2 report, and then I see other things that happen in social media and different things of interest. But this point of interest actually was a few weeks ago, and there's a follow-up article. Well, I had a little bit of inside news just from talking with different people in the industry that there were some things happening. But last year, cool mini or not, CMON, they had revenue, I believe ICV reported, they're on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange, like 48 million in revenue. But they reported that there was a 24 percent drop in revenue. I think you're showing the initial article there. Do you see? Can you zoom that in and blow that up? I don't have that particular article with me. I can't read that from there, but do you want to just read a little bit of that right there?
Okay. Worldwide sales. This is from April 29th this year.
Yeah, that's correct.
Worldwide sales by Cool Mini or Not Limited were roughly flat in 2023 at 45.1 million versus 45.3 million in 2022. The company reported in its annual financial statements. That's the end of the sentence. Why go upwards? Profits were 48% from 510,101 in 2022 to 755,948 in 2023. Roughly half, 51% of the company sales in North America, with the rest divided between Europe and Asia and the Oceania.
And then does it say about that 24% revenue this year that they're down? Or?
Not in this one, no.
Okay. Well, there's another report out there. The point that I want to make, that's just kind of background. There's some changes going on at CMON. And there's the most recent article from ICV2 was on September 17th, 2024. And basically what the article is talking about is CMON is traded on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange, and they are doing a non-binding memorandum understanding to sell some of the company's intellectual properties of $12 million, a considerable chunk. The company is seeking to enter into a definitive agreement by the end of October. Then it goes on and talks about the second announcement reveals that the chief operating officer, David Peretti, who's from Italy, the other two owners are David Doust, he's in Singapore, and then Mr. Chin, and I believe he is from Singapore as well, or he could be from China. I'm not exactly sure. But they started this company in 2016, but David Peretti is officially resigning that role March 2025, and he's been the executive director of the company, which he had a 3-year contract. It goes on. So the thing that made me go was, well, typically when these things happen, the company is doing different things. CMON has a major presence overseas, and I know David Doust, in talking with him in past years, has really increased the Asia market. And being their headquarters and things are there, their North American sales have changed a little bit in their agreement with Asmodee for distribution. They don't have the same presence at the shows in North America that they used to. Well, with this announcement with David Peretti, and then this $12 million IP getting taken off, I went, ooh, something's up. Now, what IP of theirs is worth $12 million? I can only speculate. I first thought about Zombicide, and then I thought, oh, I bet Zombicide's worth a whole lot more than $12 million.
Yeah.
And then I got thinking, well, is it Song of Ice and Fire? Is it what other IPs that they are running would be worth that kind of money? I don't know. You know, they've got a lot of different things going, but it just made me think, well, David's leaving. There's a chunk of money's going away. I bet you something's happening where another company might be forming, and I don't know. This is all things that make me go, total speculation. So we're just talking about what's happening there, but it's just interesting that you see so much. You see a lot of companies kind of get either getting swallowed up by some of the bigger companies or merging or forming partnerships, some of them going away. There's been a lot of movement in the industry, it feels like, the last 3 years or so.
Yeah, it does. It's like there's someone out there that's got all this money and they go, oh, that person's eating a very nice money pie there. I'll help you grow that money pie, but I want a big slice of it.
Well said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It can be worrying because, I mean, business people love ventures and making money by doing stuff. But do they really know what they're doing? Do they really know the market? Are they going to make changes which will, push fans away or bring them closer and spend more money? That's the next thing. Is that what's going to happen? Yeah. So that's making me go, But as you said, I don't think it's Zombicide. Zombicide makes about 12 million in one Kickstarter.
Yeah, I didn't know if just the IP. I don't know. Yeah, I after I thought about that, that's too small.
It's probably an IP which isn't selling well.
But even that's a big chunk of money, so it's got to be something that has some legs to it. Otherwise, it's A Song of Ice and Fire, I think, was kind of I don't want to say tabled, but not. It didn't seem like there was a whole lot going on in the community, and I'd heard some rumbles for a while there that the tournament play wasn't supported quite right, and people were a little disgruntled about a few things. But you know how that is with everything. There's always somebody. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know the details, but it's interesting just to see what's going on in that community, and it'll be fun to see what's going on. Dave has got an amazing amount of credibility and influence in the hobby and experience. So maybe something really cool will come out of that also.
Okay.
Well, that's what made me go, So I think we'll move right on to our next sponsor of the Berkey and Badger Board Game Babble Show, Arcane Wonders. That's the new theme song for Arcane Wonders. Boom, 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 boom. Ba-do-do-do-do. Arcane Wonders is the best. Yes, it is. They got a new game video, Game Champion. Yeah. We're going to lose our sponsorship, aren't we?
With jingles like that, you won't go far.
Go ahead and read that information about their booth at the Essen Spiel Fair.
Spiel. Yes, they're going to be there at Essen Spiel. So if you order now, you can pick up whatever you order directly from the show. They are in Hall 2 at booth E310, right behind Academy Games, right next to Jelly Games as well. Have you heard of them?
Awesome.
Jelly Games?
I think they're going to have a pretty good sized booth presence there, and a lot of really cool offerings. They have a partnership now where they're bringing back Kraftwagen from Matthias Kramer and Ketterling, I think, code designed, if I remember right. I heard a lot of total awesome buzz about that when it was with Stronghold Games many years ago. Now I guess they have a few streamlined type things. I'm kind of excited. I'd like to actually get this game and try that. It seems like it's down my alley, that kind of Euro type of game. Also, the Foundations of Metropolis, which is basically a different version of Foundations of Rome, but in a very accessible affordable package. Really awesome family weight to midweight strategy game. A little bit of bidding, a little bit of area control type of things, and tableau building in a sense, because you're building certain buildings next to other ones and you're getting extra points for that. So the Foundations of Metropolis by Emerson Matsuuchi will be available. They will also have a large group of their other games available there. So check them out at arcanewonders.com.
Boom.
And with that, we're going to move on to our next segment. We're going to talk about some games that we have been playing recently, but in the future, we're going to have a new segment that we're going to talk about during our Babble topic. So we won't talk about it right now, but we have a few games that we've been playing that we're just going to quick go through. And Barry, what have you been playing?
Okay, brand new game. I purchased a copy of The Witcher Old World. Maybe I should bring it up on good old Board Game Geek, because Board Game Geek has replaced my Facebook. I am here most days looking at stuff. So The Witcher, the Old World, as I said, I picked this up, retail copy. It's not the Kickstarter version of the game. It's so it doesn't have all the minis like you will see right here. No, it doesn't have all these minis. It just has 5 minis, which are the 5 witches, because it's a 5-player game. And it's a deck building game where you're using your deck of cards to move around. Damn it, I've forgotten the name of the land. And I'm a Witcher fan.
I hate that.
Tamriel. Not Tamriel. No, it's not Tamriel. That's Skyrim in Elder Scrolls. But Novigrad. So you're moving around with your deck of cards, and you're building your deck of cards, a card per turn, from a pool of cards, which are going to be laid out. And as I said, you're going to be moving around with your cards, going to locations to level up your character and get more proficient in attacking, defense, potions, and your special skill. Each character has their own special skill. And then eventually you will fight monsters, or you will fight other witches to gain victory points. And the first one to get 5 victory points wins the game. It's a bit of a race, building up your deck and getting around the board. The good thing is, which I really adore about it, is that your deck, as soon as you've used it to move around and you go into a fight, you basically take your discard pile and your draw pile, shuffle them together, and this becomes your life points, and whatever you've got in your hand stays in your hand. And then you start fighting either a witcher or a monster. And the object of the game is then to whittle down the monster or the witcher down to 0 cards to gain your trophy, to gain your victory point, so to speak, which I really like. And these cards, you play 1, and then you can combo. They got like little chains of colors. So if you play a blue card and it has a link of purple and red, you can play a purple and red card, and then you can create big combos to do lots of damage, or to collect more cards at the end of your turn, or to boost your shield so you don't take any damage from your opponent, or other little things. You get to redraw a card from your discard pile, for example, or keep a card that you've just played because it has a cool power. And as I said, you're going to keep doing this until one player has got 5 points. And I've played this twice solo. First. Yeah. So you don't fight other witches, basically. You basically fight the monsters to get the 5 victory points to win the game. There's also this meditate that you can do to gain a victory point, which requires you to level up one of your skills to level 5. And then if the card is available, you can meditate, and that will give you a point. But yes, the first time I played it, it was poppycock, due to the fact that some of it was me misreading the rulebook, and some of it was the rulebook not being friendly and missing out on things and not explaining things and not having a tableau of all the icons, because there are a lot of icons and they get confusing. I mean, and they're spaced out all through the rulebook. So if you're looking at your character sheet and you're going, okay, what does that mean when I level that up? Let's look in the rule book, and there's no quick and easy answer. You've got to read a lot of stuff. So, but apart from that, I enjoyed it as a solo game. I probably won't play it a lot as a solo game because I can see it being repetitive. The same thing is kind of like trying to get the amount of turns down, so you're not playing as many turns to win more effectively and efficiently. But I'm looking forward to playing it 2 or 3 players, probably not 4 and definitely not 5, because there are some story elements and some story cards which are really Witcher-ish, and you get to choose what you're going to do from the outcome. And this could drag out the game, in my opinion, if you're playing with multiple players. But that's the theme. That's where the Witcher theme comes from. The rest of the game is kind of like a generic fantasy move and level up and get stuff. So, but yeah, that's basically a kind of mini review of The Witcher after 2 plays.
Well, that sounds good. Did you enjoy it?
Yes, I did. The second time I enjoyed it. I was like, all the elements came together. I wasn't playing things wrong, like the combo. I didn't know that, because some of the combo chains have icons on them as well. I thought, if there's 2 different chains and it didn't matter what chain card you put on it, whether it be a blue or a yellow, you could activate both of them. But no, I found out later you couldn't do that. I could, there were things that I found out which were not very clear in the rule book, and I had to watch a video which explained it very, very well. But yeah, it's a good game.
It looks really good.
Oh yeah, it's well presented. The insert of the box is amazing. The components are wonderful. The player boards are recessed, not only on the top for your cubes to go in, but on the bottom for when you slide cards underneath. I was like, wow, they did that. But it's just, the production quality is amazing. The miniatures are nice. The cards are nice. The artwork is gorgeous. But again, they probably got it all from CD Projekt Red, which is the designers of the video game. So, but yeah, it fits into that universe. And at the moment, I'm pretty much heavily into The Witcher books and video games. So.
Wow, cool. Wasn't there another Witcher game that Fantasy Flight did?
Yeah, probably was. I saw another one, not just the expansions. There's one from 2007. And
it seems like I remember seeing one at BGG Con a few years ago before they went to the new location. But
there's an adventure card game from 2007. There's The Witcher Path of Destinies, which is coming out this year, which is by the same publishers as The Old World.
Who makes this new one?
It's Go On Board Games.
On Board Games?
Go On Board.
Go On Board. Okay, Go On Board.
Yeah, which I think is a Polish company. They're pretty new. And CD Projekt Red being Polish as well, they probably work together like that.
Wow, interesting.
Oh yeah, 2014 adventure game. Is that by? Yeah, there you go. Well, there is one from Fantasy Flight.
Oh yeah, okay, that's the one I was thinking of. Yeah, that had some buzz a while back.
Yeah.
Well,
okay.
I have been playing a game that I've been really excited to get. I didn't know exactly how it was going to play with the first version, but this is Star Wars, but the Clone Wars edition.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, this is a Fantasy Flight game. And what's different about it is that the Clone Wars, it has all of those IP characters like General Grievous and Obi-Wan, of course, and Count Dooku. A lot of the different trade ships are different. The factions of the Separatists versus the Empire or the Republic, excuse me. So you have you have these different characters from the Clone Wars movie and or cartoons. The art's great. It's all fun that way. What's different about it, I find, is that there's a lot of mechanisms that allow you to exile, or what we usually say cull, out cards in a deck building game. But this exile feature, there's a lot of combos where there's a lot of opportunities, depending on what you get in which order, to exile a lot of cards. And I felt that was different than you had that ability in the Star Wars, the original deck builder game that came out a couple of years ago. However, it seems like it's more pronounced. What's exciting about that is you can actually there's certain cards, certain planets now that seems like there's, before the bases, the planets, they were similar. Both teams had similar ones. There was a few that were slightly different, but here they seem quite a bit different. So depending on your faction, like the Separatists, they have certain abilities with their planets that allow them to do this even better. It's really interesting, actually. I can't say whether or not I like it better than the other one. I'm more familiar with the original IP than I am the Clone Wars, but I'm fairly well versed with the Clone Wars stuff. There's a way that you can combine this with the original game, but the problem with that is you have to separate all 4 factions, and you play 2 factions against one another. It's not like you just combine all the decks.
Okay. So
it's a little different, but there is a 4-player variant. And, with Star Realms and Hero Realms, playing with the 4-player team versions, I didn't like that at all. I don't know about that with this game.
Yeah.
I generally think that deck builders like this play most quickly, efficiently back and forth because of the asymmetrical nature sometimes. And muddling that up to go 4 players while you're waiting to do something, I don't know.
Yeah.
We had the opportunity to play the War of the Ring, the card game, with 4 players, in England, and that seemed to work pretty well.
Oh, yeah.
With Paul Grogan at Gaming Rules Vids. But I tell you, I just had a blast. It's Star Wars. It's deck building. It has the Force that is different, that you're monitoring the Force. You're monitoring what you're putting. You've got capital ships. You're trying to be efficient with exiling and upgrading your deck. There's a couple cards in there that are super annoying, like Jar Jar Binks. Nisa not like Jar Jar. He's annoying. And that card ability, once you get him, you do its thing, and then you hand it to the other person. He never goes away. He's just there, though. It's like, unless I'm going to exile him somehow and get him out of my deck. In fact, I did that the second game I played because he was just, you're screwing up my deck. Get out of here. You and your big tongue.
Yeah. Bit like the blue milk. Get that out of my dick. Don't want that there.
Well, that's the Clone Wars, Star Wars, the deck building game. Super glad I got it. Still deciding whether I like it better. Should I bring it to Essen and we play it?
Ooh, you could try. Thing is, there'd be thousands of other people there saying, "Oh, do you want to try this game with us?"
No, we're playing Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? I keep bringing games to conventions, and I never play them.
Yeah.
I mean, I hardly ever play them. The only one that I've had any consistency playing is when I bring Baseball Highlights 2045, where I'm teaching somebody that I've talked about it with, or we're playing in a tournament. It's just the way it goes. It seems like things come up and time just goes like that.
Yeah, it's best not to bring any games because there's always someone that's got games.
Yeah, they're doing the same thing. We all have so much hope.
Yeah.
Like the great comedian Grant Lyon, board game comedian, and regular comedian, but board game comedian, I would call him. He makes that joke about how many of you go to family reunion and you go to birthday parties and you bring your big bag of games, and you know that you're not going to play all of them, but we have such an immense amount of hope. How often does that happen, right?
Getting just I get to the point where I get one game in, so I'm always hopeful.
Yeah,
always that one game.
Did you have any other games you wanted to talk about, or
no?
I think we can move right along and we can go into our next segment, the Babble topic. But before we do so, we have another sponsor.
We do indeed, and they
are
these people. These
Oh,
people.
No. Oh,
What do you
no.
mean? What do you mean? Oh no! What do you mean? Oh no!
Oh no!
Oh no!
That's a good old Billy Crystal.
This video was made possible with the help of Game Toppers. Upgrade your gaming experience with a Game Topper.
Woohoo! Well, Game Toppers just finished our 4.5 Galactic Kickstarter. And now, if you missed the campaign, no worries. You can still get in on most of the goodies that we offered during that campaign by late pledging. And the late pledge manager is going to stay open through the end of October. So you've got about a month. We're going to allow it to run just a little bit longer so that all of you that might be joining us at the Essen Spiel Fair will be able to take advantage of it, so you can get discounted shipping into the United Kingdom, into 18 countries in Europe, and a couple of them just outside of the EU. And you'll be able to take advantage of those savings, all the package deals we had, all the mat bundles. We introduced some new products that are just, I think they're glorious. There's some new terrain mats if you're a war gamer, new terrain packs that make these amazing obstacles. If you're a war gamer and a miniatures gamer, you got to look at these things because the artwork is incredible from Jay Solansky. The product functionality, war gamers have been raving about it. But we also introduced our Galactic Mycroft and Watson toppers with these acrylic inlays with these amazing vinyl graphics with the Starfield on it. We have a Starfield mat. And Brent Woodside from Woodside Illustrations, a brand new fantasy role-playing mat with 1-inch squares, perfect for D&D and other fantasy-themed games. But that's not all. There's all kinds of other deals and packages, but we took out all the stops. We have a double mat bundle where you get 2 of the mat storage bags free and discounted shipping and a discounted package price. And we went a step further where you can buy a 4-pack and you get a 5th mat free. It's crazy. Some of the lowest prices we have ever offered without sacrificing a lick of quality. It's the high quality Game Topper brand that you've always known and respected, with 3mm high density neoprene mats with double stitched edge. 32 different styles from some of the top board game artists in the industry. So check us out at Kickstarter, or you can go to GameToppersLLC.com. You can hit the late pledge button. You can see all of the specials and take advantage of those prices, but you'll only have about another 4 weeks or so. So jump on in at GameToppersLLC.com.
Biddy boom.
There you go. So we're going to move right on into our Babble topic.
And now it's time for the
Babble, 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 Berkey and Badger's board game babble.
Ever give these 2 monkeys a podcast? Were we given a podcast, or did we just take it?
We took it. We took
We
it.
took it by the horns. We grabbed a hold of it, and we brought it to the audiences all over the world.
And then you ripped your blouse.
You remember that time when I was in my glory, and then I ripped my blouse?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember that.
Woohoo!
I remembered my pirate joke.
Oh no, really?
Yes, I did.
Tell us your
What?
pirate joke.
No, you tell me yours first.
Well, you know why pirate jokes are funny, don't you?
I think I do. Yes.
Because they just are.
Okay. Are you ready for my joke?
Yeah.
Okay. Why are space pirate jokes so funny?
Because they just are.
Well, nobody knows if they're funny because in space, no one can hear you laugh.
Because it's just open, huh? Do one in the center, and then we'll work on more of them. Hey, got stuff going on my deck.
No worries.
All right, so well, that's great because in the void of space you can't hear it. But what if they're inside a bubble, like a spaceship? Then you would hear it. So I get it.
Okay. I was just playing on the whole alien thing. It just,
Oh, Kabuki Kid's here! Woohoo! I'm late to the party. Hi, Berkey. Hi, Barry.
Did you bring nachos?
We're just getting ready to start the Babble topic. So you're going to jump in and we're going to talk about a concept that we say to cull or not to cull. This is the question.
Mm-hmm.
The question deserves an answer. And what is the answer? I don't know.
We don't know, but we're going to discuss it with you and brainstorm it and maybe get a bit of your opinions as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think this is a really interesting topic. I think there's a lot of things we can talk about relating to this topic, but Barry and I, we've been doing this segment called The Woods of Evergreen, where we go back and talk about games that we think stand the test of time from yesteryear. And that has kind of run its course until a few more years go. And then we'll probably come back and we will revisit that type of thing. But in the meantime, we wanted to talk about games that we were playing. And rather than saying that they're good, not so bad, or ugly, like we used to do in a segment, we were thinking, well, what about if we talk about games that we've played and that we're going to rate it, whether or not we're going to keep it or whether we're going to cull it. And then likewise, we could talk about other games that maybe we're culling. And maybe as we interact with you, our audience, you may say, no, don't cull that one. You want to have that one for whatever reason. Or we might go, well, we're never playing that one. I need to cull it. And this is the reason. Or I'm replacing it with this one. And so we're talking about this new segment, to cull or not to cull, that we will release. That will be smaller, little 30-minute bite-sized episodes that we can do a couple of them a month. Well, that brought us to the actual topic of to cull or not to cull. And we thought we should probably discuss that a little bit of why we would do this, why we wouldn't do it, how we would do it, blah, blah, blah.
Blah, blah, blah.
Blah, 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 blah.
Get over here. That's better.
Well, let me ask you a couple questions. You know, I had quite a bit of different thoughts about this, but when is it time to get rid of games or keep games in a collection? And I know this is going to vary for everybody, right? But what do you think, Barry, about when is it time to get rid of them? When is it time to keep them?
I think there's a lot of openness. It depends on people's idea. I mean, when you start a collection, you want everything, which is pretty darn impossible nowadays. Just looking at the new releases for Essen, which is like 1,158 when I last counted. Wow. It was BGG that counted, and it just bit in the bottom. But yeah, if there's more than that every year, you're not going to collect everything. And if you did collect everything, you'd need a massive warehouse. I'm sure that even BGG don't have the warehouse space for every single game, and they have to eventually cull their collection as well. But yeah, I think it's all down to personal taste. I mean, casual gamers are not going to be collectors, or they might be little collectors. They might collect like a series of games, and knowing when to stop collecting is going to be a case of the shelving is run out, or I've run out of funds, or realizing that video games are better and moving off in that direction.
Yeah. I struggle with this whole concept culling, and I struggle with it for a lot of different reasons. Have you ever felt like when it comes to board games that you are like a hoarder?
No.
No.
You
don't feel that way. When I walk into my room, I think somewhere around, don't have them all listed on BGG like I should. I would love to go back and track stuff like I used to. But I keep accumulating games, and then I want to get rid of a few of them, but they just go in the other room. And then I feel like I've got this why do I have these? Why are these taking up space? I know I'm not going to play them. I want to play them. I do like a lot of them, actually. But it's like, well, I've got a different game that's going to take up that space here that does a similar thing or whatever. But I have a hard time getting rid of them. So I'm not sure. I mean, you don't feel that way, that you're just got too much stuff?
I'm probably behind you in regards to, you're in the States and you go to a lot of conventions and you've got a lot of people in the business and lots of companies, and they send you games or give you games at the show, and then you walk home with them and it's like, yeah, I got all these games. Whereas I don't do that anymore. I've stopped reviewing. When I go to conventions, I'm there to work, and I am very, 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 very rarely given a game for free. And so I don't have this problem. Everything that I get, I buy myself, and it stays in my collection unless someone sends me a prototype or something, and then that doesn't stay in my collection because it's a prototype, and I haven't got space for prototypes. So I don't really have the problem.
That brings up a really good point. There's a certain amount of us that are doing board game media, and we get games for that purpose. Sometimes we purchase them ourselves to talk about them because they're the latest thing. Sometimes it's because we want them. Sometimes it's because they're sent to us. For me, as a board game manufacturer, I have so many relationships in the hobby that I pretty much always just back those to support my friends in the industry. And I don't necessarily always want the game. It doesn't mean that I don't think they're good games, but I don't have enough time to play a lot of them. So it's like,
and it's the taste as well. I know what you're saying. There's like this, you got a friend who's done a game. I back it or I don't back it, depending on, is this game my taste? Is it got the mechanics that I like, or is it the theme that I like, or it's got nothing to do with anything that I like? It's going to be a dry kind of Euro with some paintings or whatever. And it's like, okay, yeah, I'll pass on that. So
yeah, I typically will do that, but it's, I'm in a little different situation because I just have a lot of relationships that I really appreciate people supporting us. So I try to reciprocate, and so there's a little bit. It's not like I don't know, I might back 2 or 3 games a month, which to me is way too much, because I'm not consuming those games at anywhere near that rate. And when it comes to Kickstarter, you do it and then you're waiting a whole year or 2 or 3. By the time you get it, it's like, I don't even care about this anymore most of the time.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really the truth for me. I don't care anymore. I forgot. At one point I was super excited, and now I don't care. And there's been a couple exceptions where I've just been can't wait till I get it. Can't wait till I get it. Kabuki Kid has a couple thoughts.
Yeah, she says, I know at least one person that had a system with their collection. All of the games got a colored stickered note on it, and that indicated its age and if it had been played in the past year. Yeah,
that's a good point. I like that point. How problem is I would have to get rid of about 700 games because they haven't been played in the last year.
Yeah, that's a gauge that you have to gauge for yourself. Are you going to get rid of games because you haven't played them enough, or are you going to get rid of the games because you don't like them, or are you going to get rid of the games because it hasn't been played at all, or you don't like the theme? And so all of those factors go into your culling decision. I mean, I know that I have a few games on my shelf which I haven't played. I've got Dead of Winter still, which I haven't played. But I'm keeping it because I know I want to play it and I will play it at some stage. It's just having the right group of people at the right time. And after I play it, I'll decide if I cull it or not. But
yeah, I think that's a really good point. Kabuki made a comment. She said there's a lot of factors involved in that decision. And obviously one would be if we hadn't played it in ages, but that still might not kill a game. And I like the way that was stated. It might not kill a game, because we haven't played it in a long time, doesn't mean that it isn't one that you want for that moment that you will. But at some point you can't have too many of those that you never are going to get to. I think of a game that and maybe this ties into this next thought that I wanted to talk about, but I wrote down a question. Do you have a hard time getting rid of games that you have an emotional memory tie to? And what I mean by an emotional memory tie, I think of the first time I was at Gen Con that we were playing the game Nothing Personal. Tom Vassell came over and taught us some of the rules, and we had such an amazing experience. And then for several years, every Father's Day, we played Nothing Personal. Now, I still love that game, so there's no way I'm getting rid of it. But one of the main reasons is even if I know I'm not going to play that game, I have such an emotional tie to that game. Does that make sense? Or do you feel that way, or anyone else?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I have a collection of like 28 Asterix board games, but they are Asterix themed board games of board games like Connect 4, Cluedo, Monopoly, which I'm probably never going to play a lot of them due to the fact that those type of games don't interest me anymore. Cluedo is okay, but I do have a better version of Cluedo. That for me, it's kind of an emotional thing, but it's kind of a collector's thing that it's very, very rare to find. And Asterix is my thing. And there are one or two games in there which I don't own as games, which I like playing, like Quarto, and I was going to say Corridor, but I've actually just recently bought Pac-Man Corridor, so I've got 2 copies of Corridor now. But one's Asterix and one's Pac-Man. But there is a kind of emotional connection to that, and I did have trouble trying to sell Hero Quest. I wanted to get rid of it because I said to myself, I'm never going to play this. This game it's dated and it's stiff and it's stale. And I had a chance to sell it, and I didn't because I wanted to make a video review of it first before I sold it. I didn't do that, and so I kept it. And then the person that was going to buy it from me saw that the Kickstarter come out, and then I got stuck with it. But luckily, I did get stuck with it because Robin came of age, and we played it, and he enjoys it, and we've had long days playing it. And so that emotional memory stopped me from culling it to give me some more emotional memories, and probably emotional memories for him. So when I pass it on, and when it'll be his, and he'll have that memory of me.
That really brings up an interesting thought too. And it's we talk about legacy games, but think about legacy in a different way, about handing it off to the next generation. I think about that with my business and our family. You think about legacy thoughts, and gaming is a big part of our family. And so I've been giving away a lot of my games at Christmas time to my family, the ones that I know that they really would love. And because there's going to come a point where they'll probably continue playing that. Like, we played a game at our last family birthday party that the kids wanted to play because they had such good memories of it. And it was an old Days of Wonder game called Cargo Noir. And man, we had such a blast. But I hadn't played that game in a long time, and I didn't know whether I wanted to do it or not. And I thought, well, the kids still love this game, and we have a lot of good memories. And boy, we had a great time playing that game. It was a lot of fun, actually. So it didn't lose its luster. And sometimes you don't know if it loses its luster until you play it again after you hadn't played it a long time. And then you go, oh gosh, this does feel a little dated now compared to what we're doing. Yeah.
But there you go. There's another state of culling. Giving games to your family that like the game. And I've done that with my kids. That some of my games have gone to my kids, and they have them on their shelves as games. And in fact, I've got 1 or 2 games which I've been given back for my kids because they're too kiddie, but I like them as like party games. So it's like,
well, there's Kabuki makes a really cool comment. She said, when a game is a gift to you, it's hard to give it up, even if it isn't your favorite. And that's a cool one. It's up. Her other comment was a little further up, but even if it isn't your favorite, and I have several of those games in my collection right now that people have given it to me, and there's a bond behind it that I'm just going to keep it. I'm probably not going to play it, but there's a memory there that's special to me, and so I'm just going to go with that. And I don't think about that in feeling guilty about having it at that point, because there's something attached to it. What I do feel kind of guilty about, and I don't know how you feel or others would feel about this, but when I walk into my game room and I see all these games that I know that there's several of them I won't play again. I've either acquired them, and what really gets my goat is the games that are in shrink wrap. Kabuki talks about shelf of opportunity. I still call it my shelf of shame because I feel shame. I know there's an opportunity, but whatever. It's shrink wrap. It's like at one point I felt I needed that game for whatever reason. I played it at a convention maybe once with somebody, or maybe I got a deal on it somewhere, or I got it from somebody. I don't know what the situations are, but I think of this one game that Z Garcia from the Dice Tower talked about, and it was this game called Senji. It's an Asian themed game. We got this beautiful Asian mat from Vincent Dutray, the Great Wall for Game Toppers. It would look perfect on there. Z Garcia loves this game. It looks great. It's been sitting on my shelf for 5 years. Is there an opportunity? Yep. When I look at it and go, why haven't I played it? What's the matter with you, Berkey? Just play the damn game.
Get it out.
And it's like I told Josiah the other day, I said, I really want to play this game. Because I have this feeling that it's going to be a really good game, and I like what Z said, and I like the theme, and I have this feeling that it would be cool, but for some reason I haven't been able to get it to the table or made the commitment to just say this one's coming first. And I said, we got to play this game. Let's just play this game. If we don't like it, I'll get rid of it.
Make a pact. Make sure that next time he comes over, it's the first game on the table. And that's all you got to do. I'm going to be doing that this weekend. I have a couple of new games which I've finally got through from Kickstarter, and they are going to be the first ones on the table. Might be The Witcher as well. So
There's this I don't know what there for me. There's this element of nostalgia. There's this element of emotional memory. There's this element of wanting to clear out the clutter in my life. So they're conflicting feelings about it. When I was going through my shelves and I started realizing that I'm not going to have enough room to do this in this space. And then do I want to keep these particular games and put them in another room so that I still have them? Or do I want to just start clearing out? And I started digging in through different ones. And finally I just said, I'm not going to miss that one. I'm not going to feel negative if that's not here. I think it's a good game. There's nothing wrong with it, but I think I'm just going to pass. You know what I mean? And by doing that, I cleaned out about 30 some games, but there was about 10 of them on my shelf of shame that have been sitting there forever.
Yeah.
And I finally just said, I'm moving on.
You've got to make space for the next one.
Well, that maybe that's my hang up. Maybe other people don't struggle with it. I have that. Sometimes I have that struggle. I have one game that a dear friend of mine painted the miniatures for me.
Yeah.
And it's this game called Cry Havoc, and Ron Shady is his name, and I love him to death. And he was so kind to paint them, but something happened with that game where we didn't like playing it anymore. And I thought, well, I'm going to give it back to him in its painted form, or I'm going to donate it so we can raise some significant money for charity or something, because it's still really special, right?
Yeah.
And so do I just keep it because it's special, but I know I'm not going to play it?
Good question.
That makes me feel bad, but
I know someone that wouldn't flinch, and that's my friend Guillaume. I've just thought about it. He had he had a copy of the Adventurers, 2 copies of the Adventurers, 2 different versions, which are kind of deep sea blue, but on like big board game style games, and they were signed and drawn in the box by the author Frédéric Henry. He had no problems giving them to me. So he had kind of like no emotional attachment, even though his name is in the box, signed by the author, with a nice little doodle of him. But he had no emotional attachment. Here you go, Barry. Take that.
Wow. See, I have a bunch of those things too, and I keep those. My son took Terraforming Mars around at Dice Tower Con several years ago, and he was helping me at the booth. And unbeknownst to me, he went around to all my friends and publishers, Stephen Bonacore included, and had them sign the inside of the box for me. Well, that was super special. So, I actually do like Terraforming Mars, but if I didn't like Terraforming Mars, I would never get rid of it, because of that. And so there's that kind of thing. I think for me, it might be a little bit different. When I was just a board game hobbyist, I didn't care so much about having a lot of games in my collection because I felt like I would have an opportunity to play. After I got into manufacturing of board game products in my life, the season of my life changed where I didn't have the discretionary time that I used to have. It changed, and the opportunity for me to play games, my game group fell apart too. Also, just right around the pandemic time there, so that dynamic changed. There's less opportunity to play regularly. Life just hands us that, where we have seasons where we're all in and other seasons where it's a little less. And so having this big excess of games that I want to play that I can't get to, and then I see all the ones that I haven't played yet, it really does irritate me.
Yeah, it does sound like your problem is games that you haven't played, which are clogging up your space and clogging up your head, and it's like you can't cull them yet because you don't know if they're good or not, or if they are likable for your family or your playing group. Yeah, that seems like your hang up, I think.
That you nailed it. That's one for me.
Yeah, because I don't seem to have that. I mean, people will give me games if I normally get them to the table nowadays, even though I'm not like at my table all the time like I used to be when I was, working as a reviewer. Yeah, it's
Well, do you feel like you're a player of games, or do you feel like you're a collector of games?
it depends. I mean, I could be a collector because sometimes I'll get games because I know the designer and I like the designer. And sometimes I get games because I like the publisher or what the publisher does. Or maybe I'll collect games because they are a series of something like the Railroad Inc. Games, which now have on Kickstarter Railroad tiles, which I backed because I like the artwork, I like the gameplay, I like the idea. So I'm kind of a collector in that regards, but I collect to play them and enjoy myself and escape reality and have that moment of laughter and challenge with the people around the table with me. So yeah, kind of collector, but not.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I was a collector.
I don't think I'm really a collector, but as my collection has grown, it feels like it. And when people walk in my house and see
It
that
looks
game room,
like
they
it.
go,
Yeah.
"Whoa, Betsy!"
Yeah. But it's too big to be a collector in this hobby. It's yeah.
Well, we're always.
To be
I
unique.
think I got the acquisition disorder when I first got into this greater hobby board game segment. In around 2013. Right in that time frame where I started just going all in and consuming a lot of board game media, and then you'd hear about these great games and you wanted to try them and all that kind of stuff. And like Kabuki said, she's, I'm a collector and a gamer, the worst breed. It's this push and pull of where I was acquiring a lot of stuff, and now I'm not acquiring as much, but I'm still acquiring more than I can consume.
Yeah.
And so they go into the collection.
Yeah.
And so I feel like I've become more of a collector than a gamer, even though I want to be a gamer. Mm-hmm. So I think it probably goes back to my initial hang up there. But one of the things I think that's common in this space is we're always looking for that next great game, that next great experience, that next great mechanism that's all innovative, or
that next relaunch of a game that you love, which is just come back to life.
Boom.
HeroScape.
Yep, there it is.
Yeah, there you go. I feel I need to collect everything HeroScape to go with my existing HeroScape collection. So I feel the need to be a collector, but I'm not a collector.
But and I think it changes, with the seasons in our life too. If you're and using that word, even seasons, if you're a seasoned board gamer, someone that's been playing games and collecting games over a longer period of time, you may or may not be collecting as many as you used to.
Yeah.
I know some people, they're still going crazy strong. I see some people like Steph Hodge, for instance. I mean, goodness sakes, that gal can play games like nobody's business. I just blows my mind the amount
that is her business. She streams videos every day of her playing with her husband the new games. She cracks them open, plays them, and then boom, people got a video on how to play that game without having to look at rulebook.
I think all of it's awesome. I don't begrudge anyone from collecting games. There's no wrong in collecting games. Goodness, it's just whether you see yourself that way. It's like I haven't ever saw myself as a collector, but I feel like I've become a collector, and that wasn't really the intention. The intention was the game, but as for me, I don't have enough time. Kabuki says that time is our greatest enemy. That's exactly right. I don't have enough time. So I don't want to buy as many. In fact, I hardly buy games anymore, except Kickstarter backers and, back my friends and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And again,
So,
I'm getting HeroScape again because, as you said, it's a different season. My 7-year-old is now turned into a gamer, and it's what we do most weeks. We play, and HeroScape's one of those games that he wants to play. So I got HeroScape. Hero Quest is a game that he wants to play, so I kept Hero Quest.
So do you have a number? Do you put a number on, okay, this is how many games I can have because of space or whatever reason? Do you just say, this is how many games are going to be in my collection? I hear a lot of people saying, I only keep 200 games. I only keep 100 games. I only keep 300 games. Seems like it's always 100. Yeah. But do you do that? Or do you think there's a number that at some point that's enough? Or do you, or the more the merrier?
I did do, but now I'm just a case of, a bit space, but a bit, do I really, really need it? Is this something that, I'm going to add and find a home for, which normally happens. And again, you cull sometimes automatically. You're going, okay, this game is like that game, but better. Do I really need this game? No. Bye-bye. Hello. So, yeah. There is that kind of syndrome which happens with me sometimes. But no, I don't think I've got a limit. Obviously, as I said, space is the major limit, but I can always make more space. We can always buy another piece of furniture. The games can then spoil, like you, into the other room. I mean, Robin's board games from his room, because he's got a very small bedroom, have now come downstairs and they are underneath the stairs. So he has like a little IKEA unit underneath the stairs of his board games, which is nice. Yeah.
Have you ever... Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, and then when he grows older and he doesn't want those little kiddie games anymore, that will be replaced with his newer, bigger games, because he's probably going to end up being a board game collector as well of some sort.
I think there comes a point where you look at what you have and you decide that it's time to get rid of some. And if you come to that point, maybe others don't feel that way, but I know a lot of people do feel a release by decluttering. That's a big term, and especially as people get older too, they want to declutter their life. They want to get rid of their stuff, and we tend to be creatures that collect a lot of stuff, right? I'm starting to enter that phase of thought too. Let's get rid of some stuff. I don't need all this crap all over the place. Well, that's carried over a little bit into the board game thought. But when you decide to start culling a game, how do you go about it? What do you do?
Simple. Do I like it or do I not like it? It's simple as that.
That's the reason, but how do you do it? How do you go about getting rid of your games then?
Oh, right. How do I pass them on? Well, recently this year, my wife put all the games that I want to get rid of on Vinted, and I managed to get rid of half of them. Surprisingly, there are lots of people that want your games that you don't like, especially because they're cheaper. And again, I put the prices down really low. So like for like a €50 game, I was selling it for €20, for example. I just want to get rid of it. I don't care. I'd rather give it away, but if I can make money from a stranger, then fine. I'll make a bit of money from a stranger, a few pennies in the jar, so to speak. I'll give it away or I'll sell it.
I've done different. I've done math trades before at BGG. I don't have time to do that anymore. I used to would sell some stuff on eBay or Board Game Geek Marketplace. Now it's like I'd rather find a way to do something good with them rather than me just sometimes I've bought them and I know they're valuable, but then sometimes it's like, I don't care about that much anymore. I'm more like, what can I do that would turn this into good, whether it would help somebody financially, or if it would help them acquire the game or get into the hobby. We talked about this a little bit with this new segment, to cull or not to cull. When we actually do cull a game, that we start putting those in a pile, and we do some giveaways where we'll actually give away these games. Well, that was kind of fun thought to me, because not only would we give us something to talk about and have some content of these games and talk specifically about games, and be able to bless people for listening and have some fun with it. So I kind of like that idea. But then I like the idea of doing things for charity, where maybe there's a way that we can have a big collection that can go to a certain thing that would help certain thing,
Mm-hmm.
And I'm starting to feel more like that. Earlier, when I was just buying games, if I didn't like it, I would sell a game so I could go buy another game.
Yeah.
And now I don't, I'm financially, I'm not in a place where it's, it bothers me that much that I'm losing any value or anything, but I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I'm in a relationship with Guillaume, and we will give games to each other. We will get a game and go, it's not my cup of tea. Alec, I'll give it to you. You can try it, and then you can do what you want with it. And basically, a lot of the games I got rid of were games that Guillaume gave me.
Well, we've had people over to our house and we're playing something and they just love the game, and I'll just like, here, you can have it.
Take
They're
it.
like, what? I can have it? Yeah, you can have it.
Yeah.
And it's I love that. That's a cool thing, and it's again, it's one of those relationship things. But have you ever culled a game that you regretted culling?
No.
Never.
Not yet. Not yet. I mean, would I have regretted culling Hero Quest? I don't think I would have, because I would have found something else which is similar, and which I have in a way with Shadows of Brimstone, a dungeon crawling game, but cooperative, that one, which I would play with my son, and we have. I don't know what he prefers, me being the villain against him, or us working together against the board game. Same kind of thing. But I'm sure I would have found another game which would have replaced it. And then when he grows older, it would be Descent, and then it would be whatever. So,
How
about you?
I wrote that question because I thought about this a little bit. There were some games very early on that I did get rid of, and the one particular one, I actually gave it to Josiah, and I thought he was going to sell it. He didn't sell it, but it was the game Shogun from from Queen Games.
Queen Games
with the dice tower, not the Milton Bradley Shogun. I love that game, but I had the German version of it of Wallenstein. So I thought, well, it's pretty much the same game, just a little different theme. But I really did like that Asian theme of Shogun a lot. And we had Tenno's Court expansion. Well, Josiah loved that game, and we had a great time playing it with Blue Peg, Pink Peg back in the day at Gen Con one year. We played till 2 a.m. and just had this awesome memory with them. And then, but I know he taught that game. He won it that night, and so I given it to him. And then I kind of regret it. I wish I had that here, but I'll probably be able to play it with Josiah. But then he talked about getting rid of some stuff. And then lo and behold, at one Christmas, what does he do? He gives it back to me. And he did that because he knew how much I loved that game. And even but that was one that just for a little bit, I had a little regret about. And I was trying to think of, is there any other ones that I've gotten rid of? And it's like, not really, because you can pretty much always replace them if you have to.
Yeah.
Usually you can find a copy. Sometimes you can't, but
yeah.
Like Battlestar Galactica is a great game that I love, that if I had gotten rid of it because it was worth so much money, I think I might have regretted it. I got rid of my Dwellings of Elder Vale. Deluxe Edition.
Ah.
Because of the new Andromeda's Edge, and that I prefer the space theme, and it's a similar game. Well, I got rid of it, and then I realized, I wonder if I should have gotten rid of that one. That was a pretty good game. But then I'm excited that I've got Andromeda's Edge coming up. So it was okay. I didn't really regret it. But, you know, it makes you think sometimes, you know, once you get rid of them.
You've made me think. You mentioned Shogun. I've got it on my shelf with the expansion. And I'm thinking, am I going to play that? It's funny. It's just there all the time. And I've only just thought of it now. Is that a game that I want to cull? I'm thinking,
those 10 actions where 5 of them are hidden and 5 aren't. And oh, I love that.
Yeah. And then you said you got rid of yours. And I was thinking, you know what? I'm going to give you mine. But then you said you got it back. So I'm like, okay, yeah. Maybe I'll give it another go.
I don't know. My Josiah's old bedroom, you know, all the kids are out of the house now, but his old bedroom is my spare room. That I have the original game topper I built. I have a bunch of inserts that I plan on building for different games that I bought a long time ago. And then I got this stack of games that I know I'm not going to get to. And it just keeps growing in there. And I never get rid of them because I don't have time to sell them, don't have time to give them away. And I thought, I got to figure out a way to move these babies.
Yeah. I think I kept hold of Shogun because I said I need one more play because I played it only once many years ago when I bought it, and I took it to the game group that I used to go to in Reims. Not speaking very good English, but I was able to manage to. Well, there was the rules in English and in French, so someone was reading in French. I was reading in English at the same time. So we played it once, and I kind of got the gist of it and didn't really get into it. So I think it's a game that sat on my shelf because I said I need another play.
Yeah, I think that's the way a lot of the ones that I haven't called is exactly that reason. Like I pulled out Puerto Rico. I've got the original one. I love that game. I play it on my iOS app all the time, but
you got the deluxe version though, haven't you?
No, I didn't have the 10-year anniversary one. I had one of the original Aaliyah ones.
Okay.
It's still fine, but I thought, no, I like that game a lot. And the new GameFound campaign that's running right now, actually,
it's that. Yeah,
it's a deluxeified version. I had to go in and back it, so I thought, well, I'm going to get rid of the other version. I'll find out if somebody wants it, first. But I don't need both versions because I don't need the classic one, But on the other hand, my old Milton Vadrilli, Axis and Allies, Conquest of the Empire, Shogun, and Fortress America, they got duct tape on, and they look horrible. And they're staying there, baby. There's no getting around that. They're never.
So if a deluxeified Shogun comes out, you're going to give them away and then get this new one.
Maybe, but well, I think we've beaten this topic into the ground. I think we should call this topic. No, we're actually going to bring back a segment where we're going to talk about games that we are going to call or not to call. So we'll make those decisions, talk about games that we've been playing, and we're going to have some fun giveaways going in the future. So you'll have to let us know what you guys think about culling games and reasons that you would cull a game and how you would do it. Barry will put up one of his fabulous polls on our Board Game Geek Guild 2248, and you can check us there, 2248 on the Board Game Geek Guild. And you can check us out on Facebook, Twitter, or X, Instagram, all of these other YouTube. Just type in Berkey and Badger. You'll find us. And please jump into our YouTube channel, subscribe so you get notifications so you can join the chat when we talk and get in on some of these giveaways. And we'd love to hear from you. So feel free to do that. And with that, Barry, I think you can send us on out.
See you later. Play nice.
Bye.
We're so glad we had this time together. Now it's time to go. It won't be long until we have another show. keep us in mind. Get online. Berkey and Badger will be back in no time.
In no time.